Thanks for being such voices of reasonableness and kindness in the world. I have a 2-month-old baby, and I'm really struggling with whether or not to start her childhood vaccine schedule after watching what has gone on throughout the pandemic. Please make the case for doing so, given all that we know about how the pharma industry and regulatory institutions work, and, from my understanding, which may not be 100% correct, their complete lack of interest in ensuring safety, with zero vaccine injury liability, zero proper randomized control trials, extremely short trial periods, 4 to 5 days in some cases, conflicts of interest abound in regulatory boards, their own lack of trust in VAERS, lack of data on all-cause mortality, history of fraud when it comes to safety of other meds like Vioxx, zero interest in performing vaxxed versus unvaxxed study, etc., etc., etc. I'm a new subscriber, so I do apologize if you've already addressed similar concerns. We actually just newly have some information, insight on this, which I think you're at liberty to share.
I will say a lot of us are now concerned. I would look very differently at the childhood vaccine schedule if our children were young enough that it was relevant. But I would say rubric-wise, live attenuated appears to be a much better cost-benefit profile than killed virus vaccines.
Both of which are in the sort of category of traditional.
Yeah.
Right. Now, live attenuated and what virus?
Killed.
Killed. Live attenuated versus killed virus are both over in traditional, and none, at least in the US, none of the COVID vaccines that are available are either of those.
Right. And the COVID vaccines are of a whole different type.
Yeah. But we're talking, as you know, but I'm just we're talking about the standard childhood vaccines that have been standard for a while. Things like MMR and I don't even know what all. Polio? Do people get? I guess polio.
Whatever.
Whatever the whole. I could look up what our kids got their full.
Our kids actually got chickenpox, for example.
Yeah.
But
chickenpox, you should wait until they're going to be around other kids a lot.
Yeah, actually, I'm much more convinced by chickenpox than I was initially.
Vaccine?
Yeah, because varicella sticks with you for life, and so there's a question. My concern was that the nature of the chickenpox vaccine was that it effectively prevented you from getting it prevented herd immunity to chickenpox, which basically condemned you to be a consumer of vaccines. That said, I don't think that what happened to kids in our generation, where we were in fact exposed to chickenpox so that we would get it early when it was less dangerous and therefore not get it late when it is dangerous, that's not such a great plan if the thing then is a fellow traveler with you for your entire life and gives you shingles later. We just don't know how big the cost of carrying that virus latent is.
So, I mean, one thing we're hearing now from people who have been accurately predicting several aspects of what's been going on in the last 2.5 years is a renewed encouragement that children get maybe the vaccine schedule from 84 and 85 before manufacturer liability went bye-bye in 86, as Jade says, precisely because the widespread, intended to be universal COVID vaccination during an active pandemic seems to have caused decreased immune response, and following from that, increased virulence in some number of other viruses and pathogens that are now out there, such that you don't want to vaccinate in the middle of a pandemic, but you do want to have as informed an immune system as you can without compromising it in so doing before a pandemic happens. So we're seeing monkeypox begin to come around. We were just talking this morning, neither of us think that we're inoculated against smallpox, because I don't think they were doing it. Yep. We were both born in '69, and I think that was already not being done.
Yep.
But for instance, there is encouragement at this point from some very smart quarters who are saying, stay away from COVID vaccines if you have the option to do so, but get your childhood get the children's vaccines fully on board now before any of these things come storming back.
Get the childhood vaccines that are live attenuated.
Live attenuated. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I will say that this, I believe there will be more information available soon. Somebody we know is working on a paper. But that this matches our increasing concern about the adjuvants in the killed virus vaccines, which are necessary to make them work.
So the live attenuated don't have any adjuvants, or they just have a lot less, or it varies?
I think they don't have any as a rule of thumb. I can't say that no live attenuated ever has adjuvants.
But a traditional live attenuated virus vaccine with no adjuvants is as close to sort of the platonic ideal of vaccines, which are a amazing testament to human ingenuity and technological advancement.
Yeah, I will say it's kind of a pick your poison thing. Adjuvants are insane. Now that I understand what they are and how they're being used, there's just no way it's okay, right? Yeah. You're irritating the immune system to make it react to the weak antigen that you have introduced, which works, but at what cost, right? Agitating your immune system is very likely implicated in autoimmune disorders, in allergies to food and environment and things like that. And so anyway, I think that it's a case where the precautionary principle should have kept us from going very far down that road, or using it only in the case of vaccines where we had no other alternative and the disease in question was sufficiently dangerous, something like that. But the live attenuated carry other hazards, and it's not clear, basically you're introducing a virus that is replication capable, which leaves open the possibility of it evolving into something else or recombining with something else. Or
that you get the disease that you are trying to inoculate yourself against.
Well, you do,
and that is a risk. That does happen.
Well, you do get a version of it, and because everybody's different, that version can be more severe than the manufacturers intend. Yep. So anyway, I don't think any of this is all that safe. The question is, what is plausibly worth the risks? Where have the risks been managed well and the benefit is great? And so anyway, it turns out that live attenuated, despite the risks, is the better technology. However, we've heard lots of talk about self-spreading vaccines, which I think it goes on I'm going to have to think about which technology it removes from the list, but it goes on my list of the top 5 worst technological ideas I've ever heard of, because once you release, even if you built the thing correctly and it was really low risk and really
self-spreading between individuals you're talking about. I see.
Right. So
so the mRNA has the problem of self-spreading, like self-propagating within the body, which is bad enough, but you're talking about propagating not just intra-individually.
Well, the mRNA vaccines aren't even supposed to propagate in the body.
Right.
And maybe that they do.
I know that was not the intention as far as we can tell, but they seem capable of doing it because it doesn't have a half-life.
The live attenuated ones are supposed to replicate in the body, right? Just as a natural infection does, which is why they work, because the body regards itself as infected and fights. But a self-spreading vaccine that is contagious between individuals will simply evolve to be whatever disease works best, right? Yeah. You release the thing and it is going to become whatever the niche tells it to become. And there is nothing that makes that safe. So anyway, I'm very troubled by the fact that people who don't appear to understand anything about adaptive evolution talk about this as if it would be a clever way to get a vaccine to everybody right now.
But why would they talk to people who know anything about evolution? That doesn't seem relevant here.
I guess they wouldn't. Yeah. The one saving grace is that they're going to have a very hard time profiting right? If a vaccine spreads itself, they can't charge the government for each dose.
Oh, it's why
And so-
Monsanto has their seeds that can't create more seeds, right? You prefer a product which requires your farmers, in that case, to buy more of you every year, as opposed to actually do selection themselves and have a farm that can actually continue to be a farm without the help of big ag and big pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Hey guys, that was a clip from our monthly private Q&A that you can get access to at my Heather Hying's Patreon. And you can also get access there to all of the past paid subscriber content. So please consider joining us there.
Did you mention that these private Q&As are the key to living a better life and living to tell the tale?
I forgot to do that. These private Q&As are in fact the key to living a better life and what?
Living to tell the tale.
Living to tell the tale. Go ahead, live to tell the tale. Join us there.
See ya.